Welcome back to the podcast. We got a special guest on today, the man himself, Russ Smoot.
What's up? What's up?
Welcome.
Appreciate you, man. Glad to be here.
We're shading up today, boys.
Yeah, we're trying to stay low key, you know?
We got the Gucci. Yours are Gucci, right?
Yeah. Yours are Gucci?
We'll get there. No,
I
these
can't
are,
actually see with mine on now, so
Really?
I can't. Nah, just kidding.
Yeah, we're it actually does help with the lights. So if you're wondering why we're freaking shaded up, but dude, thanks for coming on. So a little intro for Russ. I'm not gonna be able to do it justice, but Russ has been in the sales game for a long time. I think up to a decade, almost 10 years now, right?
I think we're on 11 now.
You're 11.
Yeah.
So he's been grinding, dude. And if you follow Russ, super inspirational. The man has unlimited content. One of the best, if not one of the best leaders at Vivint Smart Home and in other areas of life. So super cool. Yeah, we're going to talk about that. Me and Russ been working together for a few years now, so we're building something pretty special here. And yeah, we're going to dive into that probably a little bit as well. So,
Oh, yeah. Thanks for having me on, brother.
no problem. Thanks for coming on. So question for you. So you've done pretty well for yourself. Did you grow up in middle class, lower class? What was your family life coming up?
I would say middle class. My dad always made money, but never spent money. So I would say we kind of like definitely middle class, but like didn't get given a lot of stuff. Like I had to go get my own stuff.
That's cool. What did he do for work?
He works for Lockheed Martin. So I think he's made six figures from when the day I was born. But he's the next door millionaire type, kind of Dave Ramsey style, like still drives the same cars.
Nice.
Doesn't buy new stuff, that kind of
A
thing.
little more on the conservative side.
Conservative, but heavy on the like prep for retirement, heavy on that kind of stuff. So
Lower risk, maybe a little bit.
very low risk.
Cool. And he's been doing that since you were a little kid.
Yeah, he hasn't changed jobs once.
And he's coming up on retirement probably? Too close?
Yeah, I think he probably could retire already, but he's like, I don't know what I would do if I retire, so I'm just gonna keep working.
Dude, how many guys feel like that? It's like there's kind of this, I don't know, mindset where people are like, I can't wait to retire. But then a lot of guys are like, dude, when they're retired, you still got to stay busy.
What?
Yeah, it's not like you're going to sit on the beach and sip mimosas for ever, you know? It's
Yeah.
like maybe a week.
I think that like you identify as your job for a really long time, and then it's like your job goes away, and then what's your identity?
Yeah.
Which is kind of a lesson. It's like you can't just be your job.
Right.
Your job can go away, but you're still around.
Yeah.
I think that's part of it.
Yeah, that's true. So, because my dad's coming up on retirement too. They're probably similar ages. My dad's got like another year left.
My dad's 30 years older than me exactly, so he's what, 63?
Oh yeah, so he's right there.
Yeah.
So yeah, same with my dad too. He's worked at the same CPA tax firm since he graduated from BYU, like same place.
It's crazy, huh?
Like the last one there. So hey, dude, I mean they went in there and dude got a secure job and exceeded at it, and you know.
Well, I mean, they laid the groundwork for what we were able to do, right? I mean, there's stuff that we have as traits that they taught us that we don't realize.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something I always have to like make sure I'm grateful for. Is, you know, as much as I was always like wanting to go make more money, like there's things that I learned from the way my dad was that allowed me to become who I am too. So
100%. What would you say is just something that you've taken from, you know, dad's lessons?
I mean, my dad being so safe and smart with money. As much as I want to be insanely crazy with money, it left me with a little bit of smartness, right? And so I didn't learn how to be broke. I learned how to be very conservative, which actually was one of the struggles I had to overcome in wanting to make a lot of money, is because I was so conservative. Making a lot of money was abnormal for that conservative view, you know?
Yeah.
But I think that was something that has been good for me as I make more money, is that I'm smart. Because my dad's so extreme, I'm always like double calculating, triple calculating, doing the math over and over and over again to make sure that I'm not being overly crazy.
Making the right moves.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I grew up, my parents separated when I was 10, and I grew up with my stepdad was a he'd built subdivisions.
Nice.
So he's contractor, and so he was well off. He was making good money. Lived in a decent sized home. There were 7 kids in the house because it was like he had custody of his 5 kids when he separated.
Yeah.
And then it was me and my 2 younger brothers with my mom. And so we moved into a house. There was 8 of us then. So it was actually his 5 plus us 3.
Wild.
So it was like, and then we were all in the 8. Like his oldest was like 18, senior in high school. I was 10 years old. And then my younger brothers. So all of his kids were like 12, 14, say like 8 kids from all different ages, all of a sudden packed into one house, living together. It was like Brady Bunch style.
That's crazy.
So I had to learn how to survive. And dude, even though we had money, when we'd go to like if we were on a family vacation or a trip, we'd stop at McDonald's and he's like, you can get 2 things off the $1 menu.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yeah.
Even when I was in high school.
I think that's a generational thing too, though. Like if our dads are the same age, I think that like that mindset is one generation.
Yeah.
That had to be that way maybe.
And he grew up with like 14 brothers and sisters in one house, so he grew up like that too. So, but what he taught me was we got to be careful with the money that we make, and it doesn't matter if you make $300,000 a year, but you spend $300,000 a year, you're just as broke as the guy that's making no money. So
yeah. And I think that's the side I learned, and the side I didn't learn that I've had to learn now is, well, what are you willing to use that money for to make more money, right? And there's a lot of things you can use your money for that go nowhere, and there's things you can leverage your money on and use them as assets that are not the same things everyone thinks to continue to grow your income. And where my dad was in a job where the income didn't change, of course he couldn't be risky, because if he loses it, the money coming in is the exact same number every year, maybe bumped a little bit.
Right. Yeah, that's true. So you got into, so let's go through. So you grew up kind of middle class. After high school, were you one of those kids where you kind of knew what you were going to do for work, your profession? At what point did you kind of decide sales is for me, or how did you get into sales? What was that transition like?
I've kind of always viewed myself as a late bloomer. Maybe other people see it different, but I did literally like every activity I could in high school, which meant I had no friends, but I had a lot of friends, if that makes sense. Where you have like some people with the cliques, and they're with the football players all hang out with each other, the choir boys hang out with each other. I did everything.
You're just kind of acquaintances with everybody.
Yeah, which looking back, like who cares if you're the coolest kid in high school?
Right.
Because what I learned is how to be well-rounded and how to have a lot of skills and how to do a lot of activities all at once rather than being just like a one-trick pony.
Right.
And truthfully, like because I'm saying I'm a late bloomer, I don't think I really knew what I wanted. I just knew I wanted to make a lot of money. I mean, I built supercar models like real, glue and paint and spray paint. I built those when I was a kid. I had multiple versions of them.
Yeah.
So I knew that I wanted to make money. So the first thing I did, I graduated. I got a really, really high ACT score, and I got really good grades because I wanted to go to BYU. And so that was like the only goal I had in high school, get into BYU. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden I get to BYU, and I have no idea, bro. Like I didn't even want to go to class. I was like, I did it. I made it. I made it to BYU. Now what, bro? Yeah. And so I had looked up like highest paying jobs. I wanted to be an orthopedic surgeon because of the salary I found online. And I was a chemistry major, which made no sense because chemistry is definitely not my jam.
Yeah.
But I was like, that's a good major. I'll get into med school, be an orthopedic surgeon because it's going to pay me a lot of money. Then I went on my mission, right? Served 2 years in Argentina, Mormon mission.
Habla español, ¿ah?
Sí, hablo español todo el día. Todo el día, chabón. No, so I go to Argentina. I spend 2 years there. And I'm a very, very all-in type person. And I'm also a do it when I want to do it type person. So when I turn 19, the Utah culture is like, go on your mission right when you turn 19, right? Everybody socially, if you don't go when you're 19, you're like,
you messed up. What happened?
What's up, bro? What's going on? Why aren't you on your mission yet?
Yeah.
I literally I wasn't a perfect kid, but like I was pretty sheltered, like pretty bubbled. Like I wasn't out there doing anything crazy, bro.
Yeah.
I was kicking it with girls. That would have been, you know what I mean? Yeah. Beyond that, I just didn't want to go right when I was 19. Yeah. I was like, I'm going to go because I want to go, and I'm going to go when I want to go, which was one of the best things I did, and I didn't really realize it. I was just going with my gut. So I go 6 months later, and I'm just all in. 2 years, full send, nothing holding me back. There because I want to be there, and I realized a lot of my strengths in that time.
Mm.
And I realized, I learned that I was good at leadership. I got to leadership positions really fast on my mission. Tapped through levels of I guess you could say achievement that other missionaries weren't doing, which just taught me a lot about myself, really, right? And so when I came back from my mission, I'm like, why am I trying to be a doctor if all my strengths now are actually in the leadership? I just bloomed late. Like, they didn't get to bloom in high school, right? So I'm getting to college, they're not bloomed. I go on my mission. You come back from a mission and you're lost all over again.
Right.
Which if you've been a missionary, you just got home or whatever, like, dude, you feel lost for a second.
Yeah, you're like, who am I?
So my first semester back at BYU, I got like literally perfect grades. Like, I got like perfect grades. It was crazy in college because I was like, all right, dude, let's do this. I'm a business major. Let's go. And I went through this like phase of being really dialed and knowing exactly what I want. The second I was like, dude, what am I doing? Where is this taking me? Boom, my grades start going down. I was teaching at the MTC, which is like a pretty hard job to get.
Yeah, yeah.
You have to go through like 3 interviews. Your mission president has to approve it. So I'm teaching there. I feel like a baller because I'm like, dude, I'm an MTC teacher, right? Like, you feel kind of cool. But I was getting like $12 an hour.
Yeah.
And you can't work more than 20 hours.
You're getting paid in blessings.
You're getting paid in, no, but what you are getting paid in, honestly, like, dude, I got more skills.
Yeah.
Dude, I literally taught people for a year and a half, teaching them how to teach, teaching them Spanish, teaching them what to teach. That gave me skills. So,
Right.
Okay, $12 an hour, learned some skills. That was cool. And I was always recruited to sell stuff all the time. I said no every time. The first experience with door-to-door was before my mission. I ended up at this like party for it where there was a guy that had a Dodge Viper. He had this Dodge Viper, and I'm like, if you got a Dodge Viper, bro. Oh, and you know what? He took me shooting in his Ferrari. So we went and we shot guns. I was like, all right, bro, I'll do it. I show up to their first event. I'm 19 or 18, almost 19. And it's a bunch of freaking losers, bro.
Yeah.
And I was just like, nah, I'm not doing this. That was my first experience with it. And then later in the years, I'm always getting recruited. My badge ID at Vivint 69003. Someone signed me way back then. Yeah. I don't even remember who it was.
Nice. What was the product? The first one with the guy with the.
They were selling pest control.
Oh, okay.
I don't even think
just curious.
They don't even exist anymore, bro. Yeah. He had an elevator in his house.
Okay.
So
he was the.
I was 18. I'm like, bro, yeah, Ferrari,
yeah,
Dodge Viper, elevator. What are you doing? I'll do it, right? That's kind of my mindset. But then I realized who I was going to be with. I was like, nah, this is not what I want. I'm going on a mission. So I come home from my mission. I'm going to school. I'm trying to figure it out. I'm teaching at the MTC, all that. And I have some buddies. They're going to go sell. I told them no. I was dating a girl. It was cool. Definitely not the right girl. But you know how it is.
Yeah.
You kind of get locked down a little bit for a second.
Yep.
So I end up breaking up with her, and I'm like broke, dude. Like literally. So my dad paid for college, and he was paying some of my rent. Like, he was helping me out, right? But then he had to have a say in everything. And that was like the freedom I didn't like.
Right.
Like, I was like, I want more freedom than
it
this.
wasn't real freedom.
Right. And literally, like, I'm not going to class all the time. My grades are starting to drop. I'm trying to kick it with chicks on the weekend. I mean, we're at BYU. We're not like partying.
Yeah. You want to go to the creamery and get some cougar tails.
Yeah, nothing crazy.
Yeah.
No, but so that was like a breaking point for me where I was like kind of rock bottom. Is I kind of broke things off with my dad. Not like a breakup, but it was like just a mature conversation where it was like, let's not do the money anymore.
Full independence.
I just want to figure it out. And dude, I was super broke. Like, you can't do life on $12 an hour.
Yeah.
What, I got a raise at $12.75 or something, So it turns out I had to move out of the apartment. I moved in with some buddies in this house. I couldn't pay them. And I'm not that type of person. Like, if I can't pay you, I'm not going to take advantage. So I ended up moving out of there, and I moved into my grandparents' basement. And this is like January time, 2013. Mm-hmm. Still dating this girl. And basically, long story short, decided to break up with her, call my buddies up, and I'm like, all right, what are you guys selling again? And they're like, we're selling satellite TV. I was like, all right, I'll do it. get me line me up with your manager. And I knew the game, so I like met up with him, kind of negotiated my summer a little bit.
You're like, take me to a nice dinner first. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, butter me up, give me something, do this for me. You know, hey, I'm not gonna be there right at your start date, which, you know, whatever nowadays, right? So I end up out there. My first summer selling. Still not sure what I wanted, right? And I made like 30 grand my first summer, something like that.
Yeah. Where was it at?
I was in Waco, Texas.
Oh, okay.
So I left Utah, went to Waco, Texas,
Selling satellite.
selling satellite TV.
Mm-hmm.
By the end, I was good. I wasn't like the top rookie or anything.
Yeah.
I wasn't like competitive enough. I don't know that there was enough like chatter about like who's leading, who's on the leaderboards.
Mm.
It was like we're just out there with just this one team and we're selling stuff.
Yeah.
But I do know like I had this car. Like within like a couple months, I paid the car off. Like what I was driving like a Honda Civic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was driving a Honda Civic. It was nice though.
Nice
Little stick
Civic.
shift.
Dude,
No,
I miss the sticks.
But I paid that off in the middle of summer and kept grinding. I get done with my first summer. I'm like, that was cool, dude. I felt pretty rich. I had who knows how much money I had in my bank account, but you know,
I mean, 30,000 in a few months for a college kid's great.
Yeah, I paid the car off though, so it's
Yeah.
like a 10 grand going there probably. No, it probably wasn't even worth that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But finish that off. Like at this point, nobody knows what they want. Guys that have finished their first year, even their second year, they still don't really like have a ton of clarity. And they were just like, "Hey, dude, you're pretty good. Like, you should be a manager." And I was like, "All right, cool. Like, what does that look like?"
Yeah.
So I'm still back. I'm in college. I'm telling my parents I'm going to college. Now I'm paying my own tuition. The money I had was not as much as I thought during that preseason.
Goes
So it's
fast.
going gone real quick. I
Yeah.
end up getting this random student loan, okay? So that I can recruit better. Had nothing to do with school.
Yeah,
Didn't
yeah.
go to class, bro. I wasn't going anymore. But my parents wanted me there. It was like one of those like social pressure things.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I took like a 2-second jump to another company, which was a really dumb idea, and came right back to the company I was at. It was all about like chasing the money.
Yeah.
Realized it was stupid.
Right.
And-
Sign on bonus type deal.
Like a free iPad or something, you know.
Yeah.
No, there was a little bit of money involved, I think.
Yeah.
But I don't know what I was trying to do. I mean, yeah, I liked cars, I liked money and all that. And so I go out, I manage my first summer, and I started in a different market. Actually, my first summer, I'm a brand new manager. Start in Abilene, Texas. No, what? Not Abilene. What the flip's that place called? Mobile, Alabama, bro.
Oh shoot. Okay.
Yeah, I started in Mobile, Alabama with this
So
team.
from Waco, then the next year, Alabama.
Yeah, the second I'm there, I hate it.
Mm.
Like within a week. And so, this is with the other company, right?
Yeah.
This is my like 2 seconds with this other company.
Oh, okay.
There's no support.
So you ended up going out with that company then?
I went out for
going
like
okay.
literally, we're talking like 3 or 4 days.
Okay. You're like not.
I
not,
called
not
back.
It.
I called up the other company. I'm like, dude, I'm coming back. Where can we go? We end up coming back to Texarkana. I have a whole tech team. All I was a rookie that had finished my first summer. And now I've got like a bunch of buddies with me and technicians. And I'm like, that was what made me get good. It's like these technicians don't eat if I don't sell.
Right.
And I have a bunch of new guys. Not a single experienced rep with me. I'm the only one that knows how to sell.
All rookies.
And I probably had 15 guys.
A lot of pressure.
So it's me. And so I just start selling like crazy. Didn't know how to lead. Didn't know how to run a lot of stuff. Just sell. Just sell. Just sell. Just sell.
How did, really quick to backtrack a little bit, how did, so your recruiting process, your first year recruiting, how was that? Was it kind of tough?
That's the easiest recruiting, to be honest with you.
Because it's like your circle. It's like your guys.
Like the easiest recruits, you're like, you do well your first year, and people that knew you are like, oh, you did well, I'll do it with you.
Yeah. Well,
Like that's what it gets hard when all of a sudden you don't have that circle. I don't know about hard.
different.
It's work. You just have to learn how to do it. But brand new guys that aren't recruiting like crazy right out of their first year. I'm like, bro, everyone you know that doesn't know about this would do this. That's how it was for me.
They knew about it. Yeah.
Not everyone, right? You sit down with some guys that are like, I think I'm gonna finish my whatever arts degree. I'm like, all right, cool.
What benefits? What's the 401k look like?
Yeah, do you guys do 401k? No, we don't do 401k. So I go out, I manage my first summer with those guys. I make about 60 grand. Learned how to sell. I doubled my personal sales that year. Learned a lot of mistakes. Lost a bunch of reps. Had these 18-year-olds. They're all going home. They're all over the place. But like I was like, whatever is going on here, I got to sell a lot. And there's always that one person that sells a ton in our world. It's like Caden Ingram.
Right.
There was one of those then, and I was like, screw this guy, bro. Like, we're gonna take him down. And so it ends up like we go hard in this car wars thing. We end up, I don't know if we won or tied. It turned out weird because they got mad about how it went down and blah blah blah.
Maybe some politics.
There's some
involved.
politics, but
Yeah.
I didn't know there were politics.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Long story short, I learned how to sell a lot. That's all
Right.
that really matters. Like, because I wanted to win so bad, I learned how to sell like 10 in a day in satellite, which would be like selling 3 or 4 Vivint in a day, probably.
It was that element of competition that got you pumping.
Pumping. Yeah. Like deciding that I was worthy to compete with these heavy hitters, not like, I don't know. Like, I don't know that I felt like I was worthy to be a high producer. No one ever really like told me I wasn't, but I also never really like had that belief like that I'm like a heavy hitter. I was
Right.
more like along for the ride,
kinda see how it
not that
goes.
committed.
Yeah,
like, yeah. So that's my first year managing. I come home from that, and there's this other manager that was my first original manager. I don't even know where he went. Like, I don't know why I ended up managing my own thing. Nobody knew what they were doing then,
Yeah.
right? So he comes, he's like, hey, let's team up. We'll manage something this next year. I'm still in college. Now I'm taking online classes because they're easy to not do, right? paying for nothing, right?
Yeah.
I'm dating a girl. Her parents really, really want me to finish college. You know, they're super, super wealthy people in Utah. And so, you know, their opinion really mattered. It carried a lot of weight. And I was like, okay, finish college. Cool. I'm in sales. I'm doing pretty well in sales. I made 60 grand. That's when I realized I was in a class with some buddies and someone got a job offer. $60,000 salary. And I was like, I just made that over the summer. Like, what?
Yeah.
I don't want that. And then their hours of work for a lot of those types of jobs were crazy. I was like, Josh, did that over the summer. Like, I want a more free life than this. And so the following year, I ended up co-managing with my first manager. And he recruits a bunch of guys. My recruiting that year kind of struggled, truthfully, because I had like already tapped into that personal circle. And now I'm like, I don't know what to do. I definitely ended up recruiting some people. They ended up coming out with me. We ended up in Cleveland, Ohio, actually, which is where I just came from this year, right? It was trash. It was horrible. Nobody had housing. Like, nobody had gotten us housing. Nothing was dialed. And so we ended up leaving, making our way back to Oklahoma City. And I crashed my Civic along the way, and I'm the manager. I hit a deer, actually, in Ohio. I'm in the middle of summer, and I'm just like, all right, I got to sell. I'm not handling this right now. So, dude, I just leave this car parked in this hotel parking lot. And someone rented a car, and I was like, hey, just leave your rental with me. We'll figure it out. Like, I got to sell. That was like my mindset. So I leave this car, the broken, like literally totaled my car. Leave it
The
parked.
Civic's dead.
Done, bro. Just done.
Well, your mindset was, because I mean, I kind of look back to maybe that type of scenario, and I could see a lot of guys be like having a reason to, I crashed my car, like now I got to go home, and coming up with all these reasons to throw in the towel or quit or make up some excuses to why they're not going to hit their levels. But you're just like, dude, I'm leaving the freaking car in the parking lot. You give me the keys to your rental, we're going.
That's what we did, bro.
Yeah.
I was like, we got to sell. We got to hit our numbers.
That's awesome.
But what's crazy is the other manager was non-existent. Dude's getting married. Literally, like, didn't even come.
Yeah.
He didn't even show up. Right? This is the crazy part. So I end up, all right, I'll figure this out. We're going to OKC. There's these long-term freaking rental home things there that we can get that will feel like apartments, so we're not in hotels. We literally snag a freaking U-Haul. We toss my car on this U-Haul, put it on the back of one of my reps' truck, like hook it to his truck, drive the broken car to OKC, and then we go all in. We run a program. It works out great. Like, we did fine. We didn't do great. It wasn't the best summer, but like, so I ended up making 90 grand.
Nice.
Except for I should have made like 150. That manager that never showed up literally just took freaking overrides, bro.
Wow, that's crazy.
Never showed up. Shows up to the back end review or whatever. Gets paid. And then he's like out. I don't know what happened.
Wow.
So I'm after this experience. I'm like, I just did this whole thing
By myself, yeah.
Yeah, and I kind of got screwed. I literally quit. I quit door to door in that moment.
Oh, really?
Bought a CrossFit gym and dropped out of college. I was like, Mom, Dad, I bought a CrossFit gym, so I'm good. I dropped out.
Business owner. Yeah, business owner. I'm
Now-
done with school.
I'm
yeah.
now a business owner, so I can do whatever I want. Right.
What prompted that, the CrossFit thing?
I was doing a lot of CrossFit during the preseasons. I would say that CrossFit's a pretty happy place for me. Not only like because it makes you really fit, but it's just like I like the pain.
Yeah.
I like the hurt of
The
CrossFit.
mental challenge.
I
Yeah, and doing it with other people too. It's like
Yeah.
a family.
Yeah, the family, the culture, the vibe, it's cool. I was strong, so like I could hit big lifts and like there's always something to get better at. I really enjoyed that, like the challenge of like needing to be better at one other thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I bought into this CrossFit gym. Nothing crazy. I didn't buy it myself, right?
Yeah.
I buy into this CrossFit gym. I don't even remember all the details. Like it wasn't like I basically did it because I wanted to make it what I wanted it.
Yeah.
Like so I'm like, we're ripping these ceiling tiles out. Like let's turn this into something. My buddy comes up from someone I taught in the MTC comes up from California and he becomes like the head trainer and we just blow it up. We have a ton of fun.
Nice.
But there's no money, bro. Like it was a lot of fun.
It's membership based, right? And then the overhead is kind of crazy.
It's membership based. The overhead is in training. You're paying for your trainers, dude. And they're training every single class. They're training for like $15-20 an hour. You're running what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hours a day. That's $120 a day in training costs. $120 a day over a 30-day period is what, $3,000. Then you're paying for the space, and then you might buy new equipment.
Yeah.
And you're collecting like $100 a person, if not less.
Right.
And then you can only have so many people in a class at a time. So you hit these caps where it's
Right.
like, okay, if I get a bigger space, I pay more, and then I only gain this many more members. So,
Logistically, it wasn't. You couldn't knock it out of the park with it.
dude, and I'm sure people do, right? You got to charge more. You can't be in that Utah Valley area charging, with competitors charging $75 a month. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
And so, long story short, I wasn't the majority owner. I wasn't like.
Just put some money into it.
I had some money in. I had some sweat equity into it. I was having fun. I learned a ton. I wasn't making money. And so my car gets repoed. Okay. Mostly because of laziness and paying the bill. I don't know why, but like there was some like bad money habit somewhere in there that I didn't like auto pay, which nowadays, dude, everything's on auto pay.
Yeah, take
like
it.
I just want to worry about making the money, right?
Yeah.
So I hadn't paid this car. It was a Santander loan. Oh, that's the car. I traded the Honda Civic for this random Kia midsummer so that I could keep selling. Anyways, it gets repoed, and I'm like, all right, dude. Like, I get that we're having fun. We're so fit, so cool, but like, I think we need to make some money. Like, what's the point of being fit and not being rich, or what's the
Right.
point of being rich and not being fit? Like, there's a funky balance
Both ways,
there, right?
yeah.
And I would literally have teetered my whole life between those two. Like, I'm really fit, but I'm not making money, or I'm making a ton of money and I'm not working out at all.
Yeah.
I don't know why that's a thing. Trying to work on that balance, right?
Right.
So I literally pick up, it's like midsummer, hit up a buddy. They're out selling. They're doing really well. Something changed with the way the product was sold and who our competitor was, and they were crushing, bro. They were doing like bigger numbers than I'd ever seen. So I literally just drive to San Antonio and I'm a rep again, which is stupid.
Yeah,
But, that's the reality. I'm a rep again.
Right.
So I drive to San Antonio. I'm a rep again. And I literally, like, I can't quit working out. I was obsessed with working out, which a lot of guys get obsessed with it because we're obsessed with the results, right?
Right.
We're obsessed with, like, the endorphin releases. We're obsessed with, like, the wins that we get from working out, it makes us not need the wins from other things. So like we won today because we worked out, right? So, and this is where like the whole branding came from.
Yeah.
Is this time period. So pretty broke. I don't really need money though. I wasn't like out of money. I hadn't paid the bills. I knew I was going to run out of money, right? I saw the end coming. I could sell a couple deals a week and be fine though. Like a lot of guys have that mindset. That's where I was.
Yeah.
I hit the CrossFit workouts. I found this sick gym down there. People were like well known there. I'm working out with them. I'm crushing them because I came from altitude down to Texas. So I had like extra superhuman lungs for a second.
How's he still going?
Yeah. Well, I just have more oxygen, right?
Yeah.
But then one day I had this little whiteboard in my apartment. Had a workout. I think it had like a barbell drawn on it. Had some workouts drawn on it, and it's literally some CrossFit goals in the middle of like sales summer, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But I'm just a rep, so whatever. I'm doing my thing.
Right.
I wasn't even going to their meetings. Like
Just going
I don't
out.
know what I was doing.
Hitting your numbers.
Yeah, I was just it wasn't hitting my numbers either.
Oh.
Dude, I was literally working from like 5 to 9,
Oh, okay.
prime time in it.
Oh.
It wasn't working, like it never does.
Yeah, yeah.
It sometimes works.
Right.
But the product had changed. My pitch wasn't dialed. It was an old pitch, so they're selling like a little different, and I don't know it. And I'm like, all right. So I erased this whiteboard. I'm like fed up with sucking at selling. I wasn't sucking, but like I want to either high produce or not do it, right? I erased this whiteboard, and this is where I wrote this up there. I wrote on there, "Mo money, mo freedom," and that's all I wrote. And I circled it. And so like I wake up with that whiteboard next to my bed, and I see "Mo money, mo freedom." I'm like, okay, let's go to work. And I was just like, all right, I'm getting dialed. I'm asking the questions. I'm going to their meetings. I didn't want to ask them questions because they're like my friends. So I didn't want to learn from them, right?
Yeah.
I was like, no, I'll just figure it out on my own. It's like, forget it, bro. Mo money, mo freedom. I'm going to ask them. I'm going to figure it out. We're going to get dialed.
Right.
So I don't remember how many I ended up selling, but I got really dialed. Started selling. I go to the awards thing that year, and I started halfway through the summer, and I got most improved. Hated that, bro.
It's like you used to suck, but you got a lot better.
I'm like, most improved? Are you freaking kidding me, bro? Like, I don't want that award. And I had gained some weight because I like literally just like I was like dropped all the working out.
And you're focused on sales.
I'm just gonna sell,
Yeah.
right? And I was like, no, bro, this isn't happening. So it turns out I had just driven my car to Dallas, left my car in Dallas. I was like, I'm not in college. People make money in the summer. What if we do it all year? Which everyone went through a little phase of this, right?
Been there.
So I just fly back. It's like September. And I just told them I was going to keep selling. And so they left one apartment open for me, that company at the time. And one dude was like, I'll do it with you. And we're like, okay, let's go. So literally we just start selling. All of a sudden there's 3 of us. Then there's 4 of us. Then like slowly people start to see like, dude, these guys are putting in numbers. Like I'm like number 1 rep September. Well, there's no one to compete with. So it's not that impressive, right?
Everybody was
But
off.
it was cool.
Right.
I loved that feeling.
Felt
I was like,
good.
yeah, we're crushing this. So by January, I started running the whole preseason for the whole company. Or I was organizing flights, organizing housing. I was organizing area. So like literally by January, every single person in the company was coming to me saying, we're going to come out. I'm bringing 5 reps with me. I'm buying their flights, getting reimbursed or however that was handled, or getting them booked, right? I wasn't paying for all their stuff. And I literally did that for free for like 3 months. Probably like November, December, I started doing it for free. Because I was just like, yeah, come with me, bro. Let's roll. Let's get out here and start selling. I did it for free for like 2 months until January. So like I proved that it was like I was worthy of it. And then in January, I was like, hey, so like, am I going to get paid for this or what? So I worked this deal out, ended up running the preseason, and we produced like 3,000 preseason accounts.
Dang.
Which would be like 1,000 Vivint accounts. Yeah. We're just going.
Yeah.
We're just selling, right? And everybody's coming to sell. And by like February, I've sold 200 personal. I'm burnt.
Yeah.
Which guys right now in our world are going a little hard.
Right. Right.
And they gotta like,
I know.
if you're not careful, you burn it, bro. You burn it. So
I told them
February, I'm a little burnt. And I literally said, I'm just gonna go snowboard. I'm gonna go snowmobile. So I just go home. I literally just go home.
Yeah.
Snowboarded, snowmobiled. I had like a following now, right? And so I ended up building this team. I do summer here in Dallas. I move us over to like Arlington, and we do like 3,000 accounts over the summer.
Dang.
Just banging.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right. That's when I knew like, okay, if I just go all in, I'm good.
Right.
I sold, funded 498 accounts. So like installed, paid me 498 accounts that year. I think I sold close to 600, something like that, but
That's awesome.
that doesn't really matter. So that's that. We keep going on this story forever.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, it's awesome. I love that. So, cause I wanted to know, cause I know somewhat, but I know the watered down version. So I love all the details. It was good.
Cool.
So, and then you go fast forward from satellite, you crush it. And then what prompted you to come over to Vivint?
So, I mean, realistically, that's 2017. I decided to like basically franchise that model. So It's 2018. In 2017 on top, I earned every single award at the awards banquet. Like they made a legend sword with my name on it, like everything.
Coming home with all the glass.
So I got everything, every award. Have all the confidence in the world, and I'm like, I should be making more money for this. I think I made like 250 grand or something that year.
Yeah, and you're the top dog, top guy.
Yeah. And I was like, I should be making more money than this. So I franchise, essentially, which is the simple way to look at it.
Yeah.
Open up my own office, rent a house. I bring like 13 guys with me and we move to Dallas, like official. We're going to be here. We're going to build it here. We're going to do this program here. 2018. Oh, there's one piece of that story that's missing. I go rent a Lamborghini in Italy for the first time. So we crush it that year. I rented a Lamborghini in Italy. Like I said, I've always liked supercars since I was a little kid. I was like, I'm going to rent a Lamborghini in Italy. We won a trip to Rome. The only thing I paid for on the whole trip was renting the Lamborghini.
Nice.
Everything else was paid for.
Yeah.
So I rent this Lambo. I drive around Italy all day. I think it cost me like $2,500 for the day. Didn't even get it overnight. Just the daytime.
Yeah.
And I was obsessed.
You're like, it's sick.
You can smell it, you know. You touch it, you
The
drive
leather.
it.
Yeah.
I like gave some Italian kids a ride in it. Like it was a crazy, crazy good experience.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm gonna have one of these. Like that started in 2017.
That's cool.
Like and that's why it's Lambo, because that's the first car I drove. So I'm like, I'm franchising this. Let's go make some big boy money. We come out. I'm spending, I don't remember the rent. Dude, I'm spending a couple grand a month on an office space. Spending like $3,000 a month on a house. I'm in charge of like apartments now, but I have a big stack of money to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
So I hire an assistant, paying for her too, right? I don't remember what I was paying her. Nothing crazy.
Yeah.
Hired an assistant. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to run this as a business. I'm going to be the recruiter. I'm going to bring all the new blood in. I had a right-hand man, one of my good buddies at the time. He was going to be in charge of running the sales. And so we just opened the floodgate. We had like Indeed ads. We had all kinds of stuff. And all I did every day is I'd wake up early. I'd drive to the office. My assistant would have interviews ready for me that day. And I'd interview them, and I had this plan where I'd interview them, get them in, and then the following week they'd start like a rookie boot camp. We'd get them through rookie boot camp, and try to get them on the doors.
Yeah,
all local though. We freaking smashed it, but no individual was smashing it.
As a group, you had a lot of bodies.
Dude, every guy that came in, I'd get him to sell someone. Yeah. Sell your mom.
Yeah.
Right? Like we signed 180 reps, which is a lot.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter how many you sign because it's like how many stuck. Like they didn't stick because they're
Right.
local. They'd quit after 2-3 weeks. Like they'd get a few deals here, a few deals there, and then they would just disappear. And so my main core stayed. I got gained a couple guys, but where things really fell apart is AT&T had bought DirecTV, right?
Mm-hmm.
And AT&T comes in. I don't know. I don't even know the whole story. I don't even care to know the whole story. But they're like, we're going to merge. Everyone has to merge under this other company. Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, you weren't about it.
No, I'm not. Why? Then I lose control. Like, dude, I just wanted the freedom. I was running that because I wanted the freedom to do it how I wanted to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So they go through this whole merger thing, and I don't do it. So, like, there's a few of my buddies. We were all in the same company. I worked with the same exact people for 8 years. I'm very loyal when it comes to, like, who I want to work with.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe in the grass being greener all over the place. I believe that there's power in good relationships and that you water the grass well, and it grows better.
Right.
And it grows better together than it does. Like, if you start bouncing around, you're going to end up exactly where you started, which is nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
Or back at the same company you were at the first time.
Right.
And so, anyways, same group of people, we get our heads together, and in my brain, I thought we were creating a company together, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know if they know this. They can watch this, so I don't care anymore. I'm like, oh, cool, we're starting a company together. They're like sending me logos, and I'm like, yeah, I like that logo. I fly up. I thought that I worked out a deal on our pay to sell Dish Network.
Right.
And then when it comes time to, like, the company's getting created, I'm like, hey, where's my paperwork side of this? And they're like, oh, there isn't any.
You're like,
I was like, what?
red flag.
But it's like, what else am I going to do? Had I just gotten married? No, I was engaged. I was engaged. And I had to make things happen.
Yeah,
Didn't matter. So
right.
I was just like, all right, whatever. I got to roll with this because right now, like, we just got to keep things rolling smooth. And like I said, dude, blind trust, right?
Mm-hmm.
Overly loyal to my detriment at the time.
Right, right.
And that previous year, to plug this in there, I rented probably 6 supercars. Like, I was like pretty obsessed. I was like, Lambo. I was like, bro, I was like, how do I buy one of these things?
That's
like,
cool.
I want one. How do I buy one? Didn't know a thing about it. Literally, just freaking noob.
Mm-hmm.
Everything was for me has been I'm a noob because of the bubble I grew up in.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's pretty normal.
Yeah. Yep.
So I go into the next year. It's 2019, and we're selling dish. We're selling genetic screenings. We're selling like all kinds of random stuff. I run this genetic screening program. We're making money. Long story short, it's going nowhere.
Yeah.
2019, I do that. 2020, we're having Greta, and I'm like, all this stuff we're trying to do, like, I just want to let's just run a dish program this year. So we really put together this dish summer, right? And we're about to have our baby. COVID hits. I sell Sprint cell phones over the phone.
Nice.
Like, bro, whatever it takes, let's sell some shit, right?
Yeah.
Just selling whatever, which is cool. I mean, once
Yeah.
you can sell something, you can sell everything.
Yeah.
It's literally not product based.
It's job security at its finest. You'll always be able to sell something, make money.
The most secure thing you have is yourself.
Yep.
Not the job. So, I go from selling cell phones over the phone. We start doing Starbucks drives, dude. Me and my wife with Max. It was just the 3 of us. Starbucks, and we'd drive neighborhoods. I did not like where we lived. We were living in Allen. Nothing against Allen. Didn't love where we were. That's about it. And so we go and we start driving Prosper, which at the time I had nothing to do with Vivint except for Adam and I were friends. But I liked Prosper. So we start driving, and then we were like thinking about renting something again. And I was just like, let's just buy something. We can buy something. I had the car repo, right?
Yeah.
So we had some work to do.
Yeah.
So it's like June. We find a house. I go into the sales office. I just say, hey, we'll buy this house if you sell it to us for this price.
Yeah.
Let us know. Can we leave?
Yeah.
It was crazy. It was COVID though.
Yeah.
So
Nothing was moving.
nothing was moving at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
I get an email later that day. He says, here's 2 houses you can buy for that price in this neighborhood. And I was like, no freaking way, bro. Okay. How do I do this? So here's the catch. No pre-approval letter,
Right.
right? I got to rebuild my credit. I had 6 months. But it was old. It just wasn't rebuilt. My dad, to my detriment, is a non-credit user type guy. I called him to see if he had a credit card one time. He's like, this one? I was like, Dad, that's a debit card. Like, he's just not a credit guy.
Yeah.
So I didn't get taught how to keep good credit, rebuild credit, nothing.
Right.
I just had this repo on there and I had bad credit because of it. But it's not like I had been bad.
Mm-hmm.
I bought a truck cash. Like,
Just wasn't cleaned up.
I was just a cash guy. I had turned into a cash guy. So I had 6 months. I was like, all right, babe, we're about to have a baby. We'll buy the house, but like literally the second you feel ready, I've got to go sell, and I've got to go sell like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, we're going to do our whole down payment on this house out of personal sales only. Because that's how I always roll.
Yeah.
Like, I want anything. I love cherries on top. Love them. Absolutely love cherries on top. To this day, I still like to be like, babe, we buy this thing, new money only.
Yeah.
I got to go sell, new money only. I love that.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, down payment on the house, it's going to come from me selling, and that's it. And she's on board. I'm like, all right, cool. So I swapped my Mercedes C43 AMG, which I loved, for a freaking Corolla. This is 2020. Was this 2020?
Yeah, COVID year. 2020.
Was that when I did that, though? I think it was. Yeah, dude. That's when I did that. So I buy this freaking Corolla. Hated it. Every minute of it. Hated every second of that Corolla. But what it did is it allowed me to walk out of my house, jump in the car, and go sell with nothing in my way, right? So they say, like, eliminate your obstacles. Like, hey, put your pre-workout by your bed, leave your gym clothes out, put your gym shoes out, like, eliminate obstacles. Well, I eliminated every single obstacle. I can walk out into the garage, jump in the car, and be selling within 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So that's why I did it. Plus, drops my debt to income significantly and allows me to stack more cash. Because like if I'm gonna stack cash, we gotta have a little baby car payment, little baby insurance payment. Like we're gonna stack up this stuff. So I go out, I start selling more. I'm trying to sell like 8 to 10 satellite accounts every single day, which is work, bro. You're
That's
grinding.
grind, yeah.
And so I don't remember how many. I sold like 300, something like that. Which I don't know. In Vivint, I guess I don't know what that'd be. 150 accounts. What's weird looking back is that like I would have made way more money if I was selling Vivint.
Yeah.
Freaking idiot. But I was grinding, bro. It was cool.
You learn, yeah.
It's cool. Make the whole entire down payment. We had the contract on the house for 6 months. I spend those 6 months literally becoming a credit expert. I rebuilt my credit. So by the time we bought our house, it was a 720 with enough credit history and like all these weird variables that worked.
Yeah.
And bought the house. Luckily, I had already been in sales long enough, so I had like all the whatever I needed. We buy the house, and actually, we hadn't closed on the house. And I'm literally looking at like how much grind I had done. My main manager was he left. He goes to sell solar like the month before we buy our house.
Dang.
Which is fine, dude. Like I couldn't provide the opportunity for him that he needed with the way it was structured.
Yeah.
I'm not mad at him for doing that to this day. Like
Yeah.
I realize now looking back that I needed to be smarter with how it was structured and I just didn't know how to do it. And I was just getting left with this little tiny margin on everything he did because I wanted him to make as much as he could. And then I was not like, it was a funky variable, bro.
Yeah.
Like
Then you weren't motivated to provide him a ton of value probably because,
or it's either you make less and he makes less and I make more and I'm super valuable and
Right.
always there. And I tried to be valuable. It just wasn't it anymore.
Yeah,
What we
yeah.
were selling wasn't it. Like the writing was on the wall and he leaves before I leave. Like everyone knew we were going to freaking ditch this. Like it wasn't going anywhere.
because Dish is, it's cable TV and
Who's buying that?
Netflix. Everybody's streaming now, so it was kind of a dying industry.
It is
right?
dying. People are still selling it, I think. It's
crazy, yeah.
I don't know what they're doing, bro. But no, like low key, like I'm just like I knew I was gonna leave. He leaves. I meet with that solar company. For some reason in this interview with them, I'm like super arrogant and like I don't like them anyways, and like it didn't go well, which is good because I go home that night and I tell my wife I was like I just don't like those people. Like I have nothing against them, and I was overly arrogant for sure and like burned some bridges I think, but I did not like them.
Yeah.
They were not my kind of people.
We just came off a good year too. Like, you were top dog and stuff, so you had some confidence going in there.
Yeah. But long story short, I'm like, I got to change things up because this company's going nowhere. I'm not even the partner in it like I thought. And so that company's like, why don't you start our solar program? Like, if I was going to start your solar program, why wouldn't I start my own solar program?
Right.
But even at that point, I'm like, I'm not that into solar. To this day, I'm not that into solar. I think it's ugly. I do. I think it's freaking ugly. If you want to buy it, I'll sell it to you. But like, I'm not like a huge fan of backing everything I do on something that's controlled by the government, controlled by installers. Like, dude, the solar industry, I looked at it over again. I was like, I would not put all my eggs in that basket. It just doesn't look that reliable to me.
Yeah.
And it's like a trend. It's like, kind of like Bitcoin, which, okay, maybe NFTs. Super trendy, gone. I think solar will be around, but I think the trend of selling a ton of solar will be gone, and that's probably controversial. But that's why I was like, no, I'm not going to build that. I'm not going to build it for you, and I'm definitely not going to build it on my own. And I'm like, well, what if I start my own pest control company? So I'm on the phone talking about starting my own pest control company this time. I was like, it's just not it, bro. Like, so, I think I like had one phone call I go to a Cowboys game without him. We don't talk about Vivint once. Just take our sons, go to a Cowboys game. I think he talked to me about like, oh, there's residual in stock. And I was like, what the residual in stock? I've been doing this for how long? No one's ever given me residual or stock.
Yeah.
I'm a freaking idiot, bro.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at all these companies. It's 2020. We're about to buy a house. I got to make a good move, right? And luckily, my dad, I don't talk to him that much, but when I do talk to him, he's always got like a really good perspective on like what I'm dealing with. So I call him up and I'm like driving to Hood, bro. I'm driving home from selling, like out in middle of nowhere, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, Dad, so I got to change companies. I'm not sure what to do. Here are my options and here's what's going on, blah, 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 blah. And he was like, this is how my dad is for sure to this day. Have you read this scripture? I was like, no, Dad, I haven't read the freaking scripture. Like, what scripture are we talking about? He's like, this one. I was like, I'll read it. And he's the type that doesn't read it to you. You got to look it up and read it yourself. Like, okay. So I look it up and read it myself. And it's basically like, did you not think to ask? Right? Like, why don't you ask God? Is what he's telling me to do. And I'm like, Dad, God doesn't care where I make my money.
Yeah.
That's like, that was my mindset. God doesn't care where I make my money. I don't see why he would. Money's not his thing. And this was my mindset that was damaging, honestly, because I'm thinking God doesn't want you to be rich, right?
Yeah.
So God doesn't care where I make my money.
Huh.
And so I go, no, Dad, like, why does he care? And he's like, he may not care where you make your money, but he does care where you put yourself, who you're around, and who you put your family around, and the environment you're in. So forget the money. What about the people? And I like literally instantly was like, I got to go to Vivint. Like that was the answer. It had nothing to do with pay scales. It had nothing to do with grass being greener. It had nothing to do with how much money you can make here or there. It was not based off of money. It was based off of people alone. I go home that night. I talked to my wife about it. We're staying at her parents' house because we decided to stack as much money as we could. So we ended up moving in with them so we can put our down payment on our house. And I'm literally like, babe, what do you think? And I tell her the story of talking to my dad. And she was like, I think you need to go to Vivint. And I was like, yeah, I think you're right. Because people.
Yeah.
Good people. Like if there's anything I know about Adam over the years, it doesn't matter if he's perfect.
Yeah.
What matters is he's a good person.
Right.
He has good intentions. He has a good family. And he's literally trying to do the best he can in his life.
Yeah.
And that's the only person I knew. And then I knew of like the Casey Baws and the Jeff Mendez and like some of those guys that were, I don't know them that well to say if they're good people or not.
Yeah.
But they seem like they're good people. They seem like they have good intentions and they're crushing life. And I'm like, okay, let me think through this. Who do I know in any other industry like that level?
Yeah.
None.
Yeah.
Only people trying to be like that, but the people have been at Vivint, crushing Vivint, leaving Vivint so rich and wealthy because of the people and the environment, like from the top down, Todd Peterson down, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Majority good people, not all good, but so basically it turns out, okay, so I literally stalk Adam on Instagram that night. It's like 2 a.m. I'm all the way back on his feed, bro. Like, who is this guy? Is this guy really what he says he is?
Yeah.
Has he really been doing this? What has it been like? Has he been at any other companies? And I find like, dude, I kind of dive really deep into his whole history just on social media. And I'm like, I think going to Vivint makes sense. So I'm like driving out to sell Dish again the next day. Right. I'm still doing this. Like,
You're still trying to make money for the down payment.
once I'm like on like a freaking trajectory, like I'm pretty much like autopilot. Like I'm on auto, like I was like here, same thing, bro. If I have a trajectory, if I have a mission to accomplish, I promise you, like you'll probably find me here at midnight accomplishing my mission. Like that's just how I am. So I'm on my mission again the next day. Driving out, bro. Middle of nowhere, Texas. And I'm like, I'm just going to say a prayer. I'm just going to, which is weird because I think not everyone believes that like they're going to get an answer when they pray, but like God doesn't really care about every single detail, I don't think, but he does care about some of these. So I just say this prayer. I'm driving out in my nice little black Corolla, right? Say this prayer like, I think I'm going to go to Vivint. Is that the right move? That's basically it.
Yeah.
And I got the tingle, you know, the tingle yeah, you're on the right track here.
Yeah. You feel good about your decision.
And I'm a firm believer in meant to be's. The unexplainables are meant to be. I don't care what people think. Like there are things that happen in our lives that are meant to be. I built my house in Prosper. Adam lives 4 minutes from my house. There's a Vivint office now in Prosper. Like these are meant to be situations.
Yeah.
That are because of being in the right place at the right time. And so I get this like, yeah, this is the right move. And I literally call Adam right then. Like Adam didn't recruit me, bro, like that. Like he built a relationship with me and I called him up and I was like, I'm going to come to Vivint. He's like, what? I was like, yeah. And then I tell him the whole story. I was like, we're going to need to figure out the money though. So like the whole decision, believe it or not, was based on people and being like, I wanted to be in a vehicle that would allow me to build other vehicles. Because I'm not just going to be this forever. Like nobody is.
Right.
So what allows you to build other vehicles? A vehicle that's already built? Like every other company, these guys at solar companies, these guys that are selling pest, like not all the pest guys, but they're literally like having to figure all this random stuff out to build a company that's not even theirs. that will go out of business next year.
And how many guys can say they've been in the same company for 10 years or even 5 years?
Well, most
they're
of the
all
companies
hopping-
haven't been around
yeah.
long enough.
Or
Like,
they've come and gone. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, like, what, all the companies merged recently?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
That's not a good sign.
And the solar side, yeah, there's most guys have been to 4 or 5 companies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why? Because their companies don't exist anymore.
Yeah.
But I saw that. I wouldn't say like I had complete perfect vision of solar not being like what all it's cracked up to be. Some people are doing just fine in solar.
Yeah.
People
I mean, we
do-
sell it. We sell solar.
Nah, no,
Anybody that's watching,
I
we
mean,
sell solar.
yeah, we do. We
offer
sell,
it.
What I mean is when they're like based solely on solar alone, right?
Yeah.
Because we do the smart home. We set. I think we did 150 solar accounts, something like that in Cleveland. Nothing crazy, but yeah, we had 150 going. No, but the point is, right people, right time with the company that I know I don't have to innovate in, which I'm still innovating in the company, but I mean, like, I don't have to call someone and tell them this is a good idea to build this company. Like, I just wanted to plug into something and go hard.
It's already working pretty well.
Yeah, like, okay.
Track record's pretty good.
So I plug in. Yeah, I'm just going to plug into that, and I'm going to go with my strengths, which I know, and we're going to roll with it. And so that's 2020. I call him up. I say, I got to meet Todd Peterson if I'm going to do this. That was like one of my stipulations.
Nice.
And so I get flown up to Utah, meet with Todd. Todd's cool. You know, he talked about buying a private jet as a tax write-off, blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm just like, I mean, if you know the leadership from the top down, then you know what type of company you're at, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I had met Todd, kind of been around him, but not like that. So I
Right.
had this like it was me, Braun, and Todd. And we have this full chat and conversation, and he leaves in his freaking G-Wagon
Ferrari.
squared or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
I think he had a G-Wagon squared or some crazy
He's
something.
driving the wife's car that day.
Had his like boots on, you know,
Yeah.
just like full genuine like jewelry all over, but like just a super genuine soul. It's like most people know, right? And
Yeah.
I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
I can do this. I take my picture with him. That's my announcement, and I'm all in. And like a few days later, I make the announcement. But the hard part was I called everyone from before, and I was like, I'm leaving. I'm going to Vivint. And I'm not one to like surprise anyone. I called him straight up, and I was like,
Yeah.
I'm done. Going to Vivint. Appreciate you. Peace out. So that's 2020.
And here we are a couple years later, right? How's it been so far? So now you transitioned to Vivint, which it wasn't, from what you said, it wasn't so much the product or anything. It was the people that you were getting involved with.
Yeah, I mean, the product's part of it, but it was people. Like, who am I
Yeah.
working with? How can they help me? Recognizing and being humble enough to know, like, I need to be better. Like, dude, I'd rebuilt like twice. Like, let's see. I go, dude, I had rebuilt like at least a couple of times already, right? And I was like, I wasn't afraid to rebuild.
But you don't want to go through that again.
You don't, but like, dude, coming to Vivint to most people seemed really crazy.
What's the outsider perspective on that? Because I don't know anything different.
Well, it's like when you're outside of Vivint, like Vivint's like the bad guy. Like, yeah, we're trying to do what Vivint's doing, but like joining Vivint, like who would do that? Like, you got to really like work your way up that one. Like,
Oh, they've been around forever. Yeah.
you're never
you'll
gonna get to leadership over there. Like, why don't you go somewhere where you can be the whatever? I was senior VP of sales where I was.
Yeah, yeah.
Dude, I was running a program, like a tiny program, dude, as a senior VP of sales.
Yeah. It was a title, but it
Like
wasn't
what Adam was doing at the time was like triple the size of what I was running as a senior VP of sales.
Yeah, yeah.
It didn't really matter the
Right.
title or anything, but it took some humility to just be like, dude, I'm going to go over there and basically like restart.
Yeah.
But because I'd done it before,
Right, let's go.
I don't really care. It's never a perfect trajectory.
Yeah.
Ever. As much as you know about stuff, like you can't create perfection. So I did come in pretty hot. I'm like, I'm going to build a region in 3 years, you know, and the reality is like, dude, there's plenty of hiccups, but I do that kind of stuff. And I say those kinds of things to really fire myself up. Like, okay, let's push a little harder. Let's grow a little faster. Let's recruit a little more. So it's like, it puts like, I've always done that. Like, I'm going to do this in this amount of time. Okay, maybe I get there in 5.
Yeah.
But because I pushed for faster, it gets me there faster. And I'm okay, like, getting it done quicker, even if it's not as fast.
It's good to put some pressure on yourself, right?
Yeah.
It's like shoot for the stars, land
Yeah.
on the moon.
And I mean, I love Conor McGregor stuff where he's like, he talks a lot of shit, but he backs it up.
Yeah.
Like, that's for sure. I'm not like talking a lot of shit necessarily, but like, I do enjoy telling people what I'm going to do and then doing it.
Yeah.
I enjoy that. I am not the guy that's like not going to tell you something sometimes.
Right.
Like I like to talk it. I like to like it puts a pressure under me because I'm not one to not do what I say.
Yeah. You put yourself out there and you're like, all right, I got to back it up.
Yeah. Yeah. So I come to Vivint, I go on my first blitz, and all I know is I'm selling 8 to 10 a day in satellite. You remember this first blitz? We're in this bunkhouse.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Is that your first one, the bunkhouse?
bro, you gotta understand. Like, I came from being the senior VP of sales, and then my first blitz is a bunkhouse. Like, I was just like, I don't care what it looks like. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna learn. It doesn't matter. I did not want to sleep in a bunkhouse.
Yeah.
I did not want to be there with all those people. I was like, where's my hotel? But I was like, be humble, be quiet, learn. That was it. First day, I sold 3. I had no metric. I had no understanding of what was good or bad at Vivint.
Yeah.
I just went out. You remember this. I go out. I think I sold 2 in an upgrade, actually.
Yeah, yeah.
At the time, I thought I sold 3. I didn't know the difference.
Yeah.
I think I sold 8 on the blitz.
Yeah. You had a good blitz. First blitz was
First
great.
blitz sold 8, had a lot of support, and I think 5 rookies sold.
Yeah.
Which was a metric I was required to hit to as part of coming over to Vivint, right?
Yeah.
And so there was a lot of support to help do that. And but the big thing I remember is like, all right, I sold 8. I guess that's cool. Everyone's really impressed with that. But in my brain, I was like, don't let them think that that's that cool. Like, don't listen, because
Put a mental cap on you, telling you what's good.
like, oh, okay, 8 was good to you, but what do I need? And so like that's where a lot of meditation came in, a lot of reading, a lot of understanding. Like, what is it that I need to accomplish at Vivint? And how many do I need to be selling? Like, I can't base myself off of the masses' opinion of what's good and what's not good. And so I started just like really planning out my own like sales, my own recruiting. Like, I couldn't go base off of anyone because I needed to run my own race at Vivint.
Yeah.
And so that first year at Vivint, I don't know how much time we're gonna have on that. We got 10 minutes on that thing.
Yeah.
But so my first year at Vivint, with not a lot of understanding of Vivint, learning the like, I don't know if it's politics. I guess it's relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Learning how all these little pieces work and how a summer is ran and how like it's different. It's not the exact same as what I was doing, and no one really ever taught me anything. Everything I did, I figured out on management, which is ridiculous, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I hope to not be like that. Like, please make sure you teach people how to manage, not just how to sell.
Right. Right.
Otherwise, you're stuck in a never-ending cycle of being the alpha, the only alpha that exists. So I literally, I'm like, okay, let's rebuild better. Let's be smart. Let's be strategic. Okay. And I recruit and I recruit and I recruit. And I'm thinking that the only really crazy good, no, the good recruit that came that year was Jaime.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think everyone else has already quit.
Yeah. Yeah.
My first year at Vivint, experienced in the job, right?
Right.
Not everyone. I didn't recruit some of them now that work with me, right? Like Josh is still around. He was around then. BK, like some of those guys. But I mean, the one strong recruit was Jaime.
Yeah.
And we go to Des Moines, Iowa, which I hated every minute of, despised it. Just like super, like, I don't know. But I was like, it doesn't matter if I like this place or don't like this place. My responsibility is to sell the most in this office and make sure everyone learns how to sell and we sell, regardless of how I feel about this location.
Got to figure it out.
So we figured it out, and we did what we had to do. Mm-hmm. And then I said, I'm never going back.
Yeah. Yeah. You're done. Burn it up.
Hey, but now the other thing, I call Adam at that time, and I'm like, bro, Des Moines, like, the heck, bro? He's like, dude, someday when you're regional and you're managing people, you'll have a team that goes here, and you will now understand it, and you'll be able to show them how to do it. Mm-hmm. I'm like, yep, all right, cool. It's big long-term thinking here. Mm-hmm. All right, let's figure it out. Yeah. So we figured it out. We did just fine. We didn't blow it out of the water, but we did just fine.
Did good, yeah.
Come home from that. Sell just short of 200, which really, honestly, like, really pissed me off. Nobody knows that. I would have hid that completely. And because it's not like I wanted to talk it. I was just like, all right, I just need to sell 200. Like, that's a category of leader that I'm going to be in, and I didn't do it. So it's time to lock in and, like, actually prove, like, the value that I am not just to myself, not to people above me, but to people that I need to recruit and to people that I need to build with. Like,
Right.
I can't be It's not like I was mediocre, but like I need to be that level.
Right.
And so I come home. I don't even remember that preseason that well.
It all kind of blurs together.
It
a
all
while.
blurs, but I think I sold like 30 preseason accounts. I'm like, good trajectory. The recruiting was going well, but not like amazing. That was the year we were like moving offices a bunch.
Yeah. Yeah.
We
were
finally make it
transitioning
into this
over.
office that's brand new. It's sweet. And we go to Augusta,
That's right.
that was sweet. That was a good market. On the recruiting side of things, though, I have learned like my favorite recruits are not people that are already in sales.
Yeah.
I think that that's like a really like small-minded thinking way to recruit, although it's a way to recruit. Your best recruits are the people that have never sold a thing before, and you teach them everything.
They're hungry and moldable.
Hungry and moldable. You can teach them. They don't have lazy, weird habits. They don't have like any other like I made this much money selling this. I'm a baller. I can't listen to you. Like they're humble, moldable, and they learn.
Yeah.
And they're the ones that you're going to build your stuff on. You're not going to build a culture and a strong environment on someone entitled that already has experience and will most likely leave you the following year.
Mm-hmm.
And dude, I've had the experienced reps. I've had a few experienced reps that I've brought over, and they're disappointments every time.
Yeah.
And so I quit caring about that.
They usually come over asking for a bunch of handouts and all this stuff.
Yeah, they get little things here and there, but like I was like, dude, forget all these guys that are already in sales. I don't really care about them. Most of them bug the shit out of me, bro.
Yeah.
Like I don't even like a lot of them. I want to just recruit people I like,
Yeah.
and I want to hang out with them, and I want to like have them over to my house and do
Right.
that. So that second year, I recruited some experienced. I had a little bit of everything. We did good. I sold over 200. That's what what was required of me. I recruited Ryan that year off of dude, we grew up together, right?
Yeah.
He's 10 years younger than me, which was like, dude, Ryan's a baller, bro. Ryan will figure this all out and be an awesome leader.
Mm-hmm.
And I would never have recruited him to Satellite. That's the one thing I learned about Vivint.
You felt comfortable bringing them into this environment.
It's an environment that they can do well in. Like if you're in that environment I was in and you're not sure what's next, like are we going to sell swabs? Are we going to sell, dude, maybe we're going to sell cell phones next month, dude. How do you recruit someone to that,
just
bro?
slinging stuff.
You can't recruit people to that type of environment and then
Yeah.
they never learn anything. So I felt really good about recruiting to Vivint. That was a huge, huge part of it. I know that they can come here, be taken care of, make money, do well, like the culture, get swag. And I don't have to think about any of that stuff.
Yeah.
And I can add my own stuff on top, but that's about it.
That's cool.
Just checking the time.
Yeah.
So Ryan comes. Definitely other reps come that year, right? But like as an overall perspective, that even wasn't the greatest year. But it was a great learning, right? Like I'm never like, dude, that sucked. I'm never doing it again. I'm more like, okay, we learned a few things.
Yeah, what did we learn?
We learned like, okay, which reps are the ones we want to recruit and bring out? We learned some area stuff. We learned what it's like to sell in Georgia now. You know, we like Georgia. We like the South. Cool.
we love
All
the
right.
Southern-
We figured that out, right?
Southern hospitality.
I learned how to sell 200. That was a big learn. You know, what's it like to sell 200? Once you know, you
Is that
kind of
Augusta? Augusta for you?
Yeah, that was Augusta.
That's where I sold my 200.
Look at
It's a
that.
good spot.
It's a nice little Georgia spot.
I like Augusta.
So I'm like, okay, cool. I come back from that with some good learning. I'm like, this is where I said, okay, I only want people I can like, can hang out with, and that seems strong-minded. Because, dude, you work so hard to get someone in and recruit them, for them to just flop.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
That it's like, okay, how about we just try to eliminate the flops? Because what's all the effort for the flop for, you know? And you can't eliminate it all the way, but I'm like, okay, cool. Let's just try to stick to people we like and can hang out with, period. That was my rule. And there's a few people that we just told them no, bro. I had some people trying to come back, and I told them no. And I'll still ask my group, hey, what do you guys think about this person coming back? And they'll say yay or nay. And it's culture-based, right? It's like, okay, maybe that person can sell, maybe they can't, whatever. But if they ruin the whole culture and nobody can be themselves because that one person's in the room, then they're not worth having around.
Yeah.
So I know, like, one person was like blowing me up. And I was just like, you're just not the right fit, man. Sorry. They got super butt hurt, cut me deep, and I was like, doesn't hurt, dude. It's fine.
Yeah.
Because we built the right culture for what we just did this year. And I think that we finally figured out like the right platform to explode from. And it took a couple of years of some wrong decisions, some failure, and whatever. Failure is just stepping stones, right?
Right.
To get like on the track that we're on right now to explode and get to the next step. So
I think your group right now is on fire. You guys are about to freaking take off.
yeah, I think
good.
I think we're right there. I think where we could fall apart would be not in structuring it the right way for everyone to win, right? Which I've already learned. I've already been the guy that had a manager that didn't make the right money, right? So I'm like, okay, we're not going to do that to anyone. We're going to make sure everyone's winning. If everyone's winning, then you're doing the right kind of business.
Yeah.
If you're in the business of like one person's winning and one person's losing, that's not good business,
It's not
bro.
going to work out, yeah.
But there's a lot of companies like that.
Yeah, I think in pest control, they can just pick their percentage of margins that they get, and everybody's got different margins, and it gets messy. But
Yeah. I mean, even some solar companies are for sure paying way too low.
Different red lines.
Yeah, like all over the map, bro. Like it's not systematic. It doesn't work. And not everyone's winning, and that's not the right situation. So
yeah, I do love that about Vivint. That everybody's pretty much on the same pay. Like there's different levels, but everyone's on the same pay scale, and there's not a bunch of special hidden deals going on and stuff like that. It's been pretty straight.
pretty cut and dry.
Yeah,
Pretty cut and dry.
Dude, Russ, thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to have a part 2.
Oh,
Obviously.
we definitely will. We got still a ton of stuff we want to cover. So, thanks for coming on, dude. Big inspiration, and I don't think this is going to be the last. I think it's going to be one of many.
Should rock and roll. Yeah, let's do more.
Let's get it.
It's kind of fun.
Appreciate you, my man.
Yeah, appreciate
Thanks for coming in.
Appreciate it, man.
All right, follow us on Instagram. You got Russ
Smootru.
Smootru.
SMOOTRU and Mo Money Mo Freedom on TikTok.
Yep, and buy his merch.
Oh yeah, we are
Coming.
gonna sell some merch.
Coming.
Should be cool.
Next Bob. Appreciate you guys. Have a good night. Peace. If you like the podcast and you want to see another one, click right here. If you want to see some of our other content, click right here.